Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hello.
Good. You?
Very good. So you officially joined Dash Zero. That's it.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
How is your first week so far?
Busy. So I'm also quite new into the open telemetry space, so that's a bit of a learning curve to get started. But I think it's going pretty well now. Trying to sort of get a good understanding of all the different components and how everything is working together. So it's yeah, it's fun. It's a great space. It's a space that I really want to dive a lot deeper in. I think it's a very exciting space, and there's a lot of opportunity in this space at the moment,
Cool.
especially
Awesome.
with open telemetry as it is right now.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the game.
Thanks.
Hello. Good morning.
Hey, Matt. How are you?
I'm well. Nice to meet you, Kasper.
Hello, Matt. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Austin is coming. I hope he is. Um, I believe Lolita should show. Usually people show up by 12:05. So we have like a few minutes. I wish it were a little different, but that's how it goes. How was your week?
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Yeah, my week's it's been great so far. Busy, but I guess everybody's schedule is busy. So
Yeah,
I actually spoke with Austin earlier today, also regarding Keynote as well. Got his input also. So
I'm just messaging Lolita. I was hoping she was going to be here. I'm be doing more late because I sent her a message. So here in the Northeast in Boston, we woke up today and it was, I believe, 4 degrees Fahrenheit. It went up to 17 degrees Fahrenheit yesterday. So that's below 0 centigrade. It's been very, very cold. I hope it's warmer wherever you both are.
oh, that's pretty cold. I just had to ask Google what that was in Celsius. It's minus 15 degrees in Celsius. So that's pretty cold. It's a little bit warmer
Wait,
here. I'm in Denmark, so it's I think it's around 5 degrees Celsius right now. Not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but
In Celsius, it makes more sense.
the area is good. Cannot complain.
So friends, we are this morning. I think it was like early morning was 5 degrees, and now we are between 12, 15 degrees in the afternoon. Celsius.
Okay, well, if you like, I can start with some updates and news to give whoever is straggling a minute to get here. Hoping Elliot, I know, has some probably inputs on the keynote as well. All right, so I guess we'll just start. So welcome everyone. This is our second meeting of the month for TAG Observability. This is a CNCF sponsored event, so the code of conduct does apply. Please don't do anything or say anything that would be in violation of that code. It's never been an issue, but we say it every time. I'll drop the meeting notes in chat so folks can follow along. Feel free to sign in with your attendance today on the 21st. I have to scroll down a little bit. We're starting to schedule meetings ahead. So we're going to talk about, Kasper's going to talk about the keynote in a moment. But there were a couple things to bring to the attention of the community. This goes out to YouTube. Usually once a month I get to both of them, but I'll try to be there. But earlier today, just an hour ago, the TOC meets on the same cadence, the first and third Tuesdays. And so one of the things that was talked about, well, there was a few things talked about that I was asked to relay. The first is there's an end user radar that's going to be going out in the first half of this year, targeting developer experience, DevX, as well as observability projects. And they survey end users and say, hey, what's in use? What are people using? What are people moving away from? I didn't get all the specifics, but FYI, there's a link to the spreadsheet they're using to identify the projects. They just went from the landscape basically, but we talked about it a little bit, but there'll be more in our next meeting, I think, about that when we get some details, but that should be going out. The next are Sandbox reviews. There was a new one that came in. We also talked about Sandbox projects that are applying to join the CNCF Sandbox. These are open source projects that want to join the CNCF. The first is something called Kepimetheus, which it's an open source natural language interface for those using Prometheus. So if you would rather use natural language instead of PromQL, they use AI, I believe AWS Bedrock out of the box in its current form. But the project basically wants to take up that space. Now, it's debatable whether or not that should be part of the Prometheus umbrella of things, or if it should be its own project. The review hasn't been done. It was just a brand new application. So I thought it was notable that I'd mention it for anyone that wants to.
Matt, may I know the product of Prometheus Natural Language Query? What is the name of the product? Sorry. Oh,
It's in the doc, so Kepimetheus.
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. I'm a noob. This is my first time. Sorry.
Question to Matt and the others, because it resonates very in the directions that from the short descriptions to Percy. So I was wondering if there's no way of collaborating both projects.
Yeah, so I'll explain the process a little bit. That's a good point. Projects can apply to the CNCF by creating an issue in the TOC repo. And today, we just triaged it and slotted it into like, this is an observability thing. They assign a TOC member, and then they go off and do an assessment and a review on a cadence. So the point of the process where this one's, they've just recently applied, like, I think days ago. So I haven't even read through, but you were saying this is very close to Percy, you said?
Yeah, Percy is there's a what's it called? The name, it's like a UI to visualize data, and they have a connection with the Percy Perses. Percy's.
Oh, Percy's.
Yeah.
Yes. Percy's. So I thought you were saying Percy like PERCY.io. I was like,
no. It's not the exact same topic, but I can value the fact that both projects could be complementary and add this PromQL layer for dashboard as code. But yeah, that's just my first insights when I looked at the description.
Yeah. I had similar thoughts. It integrates with Grafana today. So, as part of their application to the Sandbox, it's an interactive process, right? They write up some stuff, and it's not just yes, no. It might be yes, but it might be. So actually, the very next point the very next project. There's only two to speak of. I don't have a lot of news. Is maybe an example of this, but to your point, yes, it should like that. That's a perfect example of, hey, we have something like Grafana that's within the CNCF. The project should work with that project and make it work there too. Like, those are the kinds of things and that are part of the Sandbox application process. So your point is well put. And if you're if interested, I can meet offline. Or we can meet directly, but the TAG and its members are part of that community feedback on the Sandbox application. So that's a good point. I had similar thoughts. Right. So the next one, Substation. They applied a little while ago. You can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay. So this is a toolkit for routing, normalizing, and enriching security and event logs. And so the project application the Sandbox application looks like this. It's just a GitHub issue template, right? And they kind of describe it a little bit. And we won't go through all of this. My point was to say, and various TOC members chime in, and then here is something I posted a little while ago saying like, okay, well, from a technical perspective, here's a P not J, perceive not judge, right? These are just the state of the project today exists as a single cloud set of CloudFormation templates that codify common serverless or Lambda-based processing of event logs and security logs. But right now it's all Terraform, it's all AWS. For example, it's written in JSONet, which is there's some actually tradition. You know, think Grafana Nixon's. You know, their default language, their innate language is actually in JSONet. However, you know, and then they're handling a metrics today in the project today is, you know, from the AWS Lambda, it reports AWS embedded metrics format, you know, to AWS CloudWatch, right? So this isn't really like a multi-cloud. You have to have an AWS account just to try it out. But what they have done at Brex at scale is figure out these are some common patterns for event log and security log processing and routing if you wanted to use Lambdas to do such a thing, right? So, and then they also obviously have a small set of contributors from one company, right? So they've applied to the CNCF Sandbox, and so what the TOC does in collaboration with tags is say, well, what could be done here? And they have a response, and so I'm working on providing a path forward. You know, for example, instead of Terraform, the existing Terraform could be used as a test suite for a reference architecture for the project, where the project might, instead of using Terraform, and if you want to support another cloud, just re-implement everything, have an abstraction layer where these common patterns and practices are in a cloud neutral way described. So cross-plane is a great fit here, for example, right? And then the existing project collateral around Terraform could be used as a test suite to validate that, you know, you have apples to apples when deploying with something that has the ability to be multi-cloud, right? Or provide a local option. Instead of just reporting to AWS, they should integrate with OpenTelemetry, right? So these are the kinds of things that are part of that dialogue that happens when somebody applies to the Sandbox. So I provided some links in the document around what's going on, but that's news from the TOC. And then the last piece of news I have before we get to Kasper, and many more people watch these videos from the numbers than show up in the meetings. So it does feel like you're talking to an echo chamber. I'm hoping Ella later shows, but I think she might have said that she's not able to make this week. Let me look. I think she actually had a conflict if memory serves. But anyway, Charity Majors has confirmed she's going to be talking about Observability 2.0 as a concept on the 18th of February, 2 meetings from now. This was mentioned at our last meeting of last year, where Ted Young talked about the future of OpenTelemetry. And there were, in some of the discussion later on in the meeting, Henrik, you were there, Observability 2.0 was kind of talked about with like a nod, wink, wink. If you know what it is, this is, you know, you get it. And so I reached out and asked her to come because she's driving in her blogs and in other forums a lot of conversation around what is Observability 2.0. So we're going to talk about that. We're also scheduling updates from the Linkerd project, who has, since they've last presented at the TAG over a year ago, they've done some work to integrate with OpenTelemetry. Linkerd is a service mesh project that's graduated and within the CNCF. And then lastly, I've also reached out to Zane at Pixie. I'm still waiting to hear back because we haven't heard from them in a year or so. They're an eBPF-based monitoring and analytics tool to look at what's going on in your clusters. So if you have other ideas or other speakers that you think would make sense for us to put into the discussion, please reach out in the channel, or we'll have a new GitHub issue template for suggested speakers. I have one other thing, if there's time we can get to, that I didn't put on the agenda, but it's kind of fluffy and as time permits, and could easily be an email. So with that, that's all the sort of business of the day I had to cover. Did you guys want to talk about anything I've kind of blasted through quickly? I'm trying to leave enough time for Kasper. Okay. You're up, Kasper.
Sure.
Stuff. I don't know if you want to share or just talk either way.
Yeah, I think you had the message in the doc. I can also just share. That's totally fine. Yeah, so I can share it. That's fine. I have the doc open right here. Hopefully you can see my screen as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so as I wrote in TAG Observability in Slack, I am giving a keynote at KubeCon in London in a couple of months, and I really want to use my slot for promoting observability, talk about observability. Just a little bit of a background from me, maybe before we dive into possible solutions or discussions around what could be interesting or not. I'm coming from I've been working at an end user company now for 8 years, and been as a platform engineer building platforms on Kubernetes and building smaller scale monitoring systems, and with like the free browser tab problem of having logs and metrics and traces in separated solutions, which hasn't really been that good. And I've been focused the last couple of years on platform engineering, developer experience. How can we, as a platform, help our developers as much as possible? And I kind of feel like that observability has been on like a little bit of the side of the discussion when we are talking about platform engineering. And I really want to do something about that. And I think the keynote spot at KubeCon is a great place to highlight some of the things that are going on within TAG Observability, like OpenTelemetry, for basically getting the insights that are necessary in this, I guess, more complex world that we live in today, and with the more complexity we have in the systems that we're operating today than we had like 5-10 years ago. I really think there's some really, really interesting topics to discuss, and I know you've been doing a lot of great work in the TAG Observability. There's a lot of really interesting projects. So my idea, at least, and this is feel free to say whatever you think could be a great keynote, is to try and bridge that platform engineering with observability a little bit. Could be today I played around with the OpenTelemetry operator with the order instrumentation of an Node.js application. Works pretty easy out of the box to get at least traces and metrics. That could be a really interesting thing to do, like a demo showcasing how easy it is, sort of highlighting the abstractions that you don't need it to, at least not from the get-go, have to instrument everything. You can come a long way just by adding this using the operator. That could be one thing. I also think Perseus is a really interesting project, having dashboards as code and basically have it in the declarative flow that we use everywhere else in the cloud native space, with GitOps and all of that. I think there's some promise to that as well. I just spoke to Austin Parker, I think his name was, earlier today. He also mentioned profiling as an upcoming feature of OpenTelemetry. eBPF profiling, I think that was sort of the implementation, at least. That could be an interesting thing to highlight. What else?
Do you want feedback inline or as a discussion?
Please feel free to just say whatever you think could be interesting.
Yeah, well, everything you've said so far, I agree with. Starting from the first, I think it's good to use this slot because I think like security or compliance, these are things that are very hard to grapple with if you don't design them in from the beginning. Like as you're building something, how will I know it works? How will I observe it? Right? It used to be you write some test code or you write some unit tests, or you have some integration testing done by a different team. But in this world we're in now, the scale of things is such that you really do have to think about how do I understand what I've built, and how do I understand its behavior? Is it right or wrong? And things get tricky. Profiling as well, you mentioned, is something that we started a discussion in the TAG almost 2 years ago, and now it's into OpenTelemetry as a new signal type that helps us understand what we built. So I think there's now that that's been moving along on the open telemetry side, and Henrik probably has more visibility into this than I do. Of late, we're going to be extending an invite to talk about some of the work happening in open telemetry as well around generative AI and some of the work that's recently been done. There's also a couple notable non-CNCF projects that I just saw in the news, such as Microsoft's AutoGen framework for agent-based AI. They've done some deep integrations with open telemetry as an example. So it's not just CNCF, right? It's becoming so I think that these are all great ideas.
Yeah, and I think, sorry, Henrik, go ahead.
I would emphasize on the fact that open telemetry is an enabler. So I say that it's like everyone can be an artist, where you can paint an illustration of your environments with the toolings that are provided by open telemetry, so metrics, tracing, logs. It's easy to produce data, and then it takes time to figure out if the data is accurate. Do we have too much detail? So we're resolving one problem, but one problem is coming later on. The sampling, because the sampling is something that is going to be in the hands of the user. There are a few things about I would say a luxury is that once you resolve one thing, you get another one popping up. But I think having an open standard where you can exchange data is just excited, because in the past we were just monitoring few pieces, and now you have the options to get security, to get business, to get so much data back in your environment and have a better understanding. But there are challenges. There are challenges where people, when they get onboarded, they forgot about key challenges. I think Vijay, with the volumes that they're dealing at eBay, he's faced those challenges, and they're resolving in one step by step. So I think giving the options to have for customers and end user to not rely anymore on vendors, and having applications that are completely neutral, it's exciting. So people can transition tools, but then when it comes to handling the data, it's a complicated journey, and people, I think it's very easy to produce data, but then get the right sets of data in an efficient way and in a cost-effective way as well. It's another story. So I think it's just because of the improvement of open telemetry, we're discovering those small pieces. And also the last session that Ted mentioned, I think now we have a way of understanding from the ops or IT perspective, but I think he's still in the IT. Testing is lacking. So when would testing be also very observable? The tool sets out there are a lot of tools missing the notion of open telemetry in the framework. So I think it's just of increasing the adoptions, and then everything will be observable, or I would say, in the process, and that will be bring more efficiency in the teams, reduce the bugs, and reduce the time to fix bugs. So I think that's very exciting.
Yeah. Thank you, Henrik. I agree. Another thing that comes to mind as I was thinking about some of the discussions we've had in weeks past, again, I don't want to say hearkening back. I've been reading some old books, so hearkening back to when Ted Young was here at the tail end of December, we got to talking about some of the human workflows that observability practitioners and others spend huge amounts of time on. And so I might encourage you to make it about humans. Like, how can we reduce human churn and human cost? That could be like when an observability or an SRE team has to go find a development team and say, hey, I'm seeing all this stuff in the infrastructure. What does that mean? In larger organizations, that might be a week, right? Or like a whole meeting, where it might just get, no, you can't talk to them. They're busy. They're on track. Yeah. And so one way where I think we can help with open telemetry and with observability is to instrument and well, not only have instrumented and not only have signals coming from infrastructure, memory and CPU and all of these kinds of metrics, but also business metrics that mean something to people who are not on the SRE team, right? So when you have organizations that inside the code of their services, they put in time series metrics or they put in other signals to help indicate like what's happening with the business. Like if we're doing lead generation for an insurance company or something like that, how many completed forms were there? How many people got halfway through? And so when you can have in your metrics and in your telemetry, your observable signals, you can have not only what is the infrastructure and the code doing, but higher
How's the business doing?
signals. Then that can reduce a whole step in the human workflow that's expensive and sometimes can't even happen for logistical reasons, right? So I think as these ideas about, hey, we really need to be able to observe what happens, not just write some stuff and then it's another team's problem. All of those little things really add up and scale. Just like when you're working on developer tools, anything in that tight loop, that code, edit, debug cycle. But when you're in a business and you have these workflows that span disciplines, anything that kind of can help reduce the friction of when one team has to talk to another, just to understand, like, are we making less money today because the database seems like it's on fire? Without having to take a stop and a context switch and make a meeting and see them next week. All of these things add up to real cost savings or efficiency or whatever you want to call it, velocity. I'm not thrilled with the velocity thing. That's a personal opinion. If we just measure fast, then, great. Well, you can go fast, but you can be out of control too. So that would be some of my feedback is keep it about the humans, because they're the ones that are going to use these tools. And I think if we as a community, if we meet humans where they are, they're not all SREs and they're not all observability experts, right? But they're very interested because they can understand what's happening now.
Yeah.
Right?
But I guess so we are building like on an open standard now, or at least that's where we are headed, and many are headed, right? With OpenTelemetry as sort of the standard for how we are collecting data and shipping data. But when we're talking about the human side of things, we're not really there yet in terms of like query languages and actually diving deep into all the data, because in you would still in many cases need like 3 different types of query languages, right, to get the insights. So are there any? I've heard, I've read, I've been reading the CFPs for KubeCon, and I saw there were some discussions around standardizing on query language. I know this is probably a controversial topic, but do you have any?
Yes.
Do you have any?
I would highly recommend that. Well, Vijay is here. Actually, Vijay, are you able to talk? I mean, I can explain the query language working group that you've been contributing to, but I don't want to. You're actually here, so I don't have to.
I was just gonna type that I need to drop off of my next meeting, but can you please explain?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And I think Kasper should follow up with you and Chris Larson for sure.
Sure. Yeah. Pleasure to meet you, Kasper. I'm happy to catch up offline.
Sounds good. Likewise.
Yeah. I need to drop off, but looking forward to see how your keynote shapes up.
Cool.
Henrik, do you want to explain this again? I can. I'm trying to do as little as possible because I'm lazy.
Yeah. So there's a working group in the TAG Observability that works on try to build a standardized query language. So the intention is not to put it at OpenTelemetry, because the OpenTelemetry was all about collecting assets and not visualizing assets. So it's a separate working group. As of now, so far the working group was mainly looking at the existing query language of the various vendor of the industry. Do they cover all the signals or one specific signals and so on? And then they were looking at different solutions that were handling it sort of and to figure out if there was an existing layers that could be relying on. But again, what I think from any users, if we come up with a query language, we need to find a way of proxying. So we send this query standardized language, but then you're not going to force the entire vendors of the market saying, now it's over, use this language and you have no options. No, so then it needs to have a system that translates to the right backend. So there's undergoing discussions, I would say more discussions, and hoping that this goes further. To be honest, it would be great for the users.
Exactly.
Awesome. I could tell a short. I could tell a very short. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. So I don't have a question about the query language. So I can see that now I think we have finished most of this array now. Like we did some research work about the last step and also the Neuralink, Dynatrace, DDoG, etc. So, and also I can see there's a spec about the feature rubric, and I have just opened a link in the chat box in Zoom. So my question is that, so are there any plan like to build some kind of like POC or prototype for this one?
So you mean for the query standard?
The query language.
Thank you, Henrik, as well. I struggle to type and do things and talk at the same time. I try to do one or the other. When I try to do both, it's terrible. So I put a couple links in there. One to the Query Standardization Working Group, which is a working group within TAG Observability, led by Chris and Vijay. And if you like, I can give a bit of history. So a couple of years ago now, well, a year and a half ago, I think, it was KubeCon North America 2 ago, so 23, at the, I believe it was the Open Telemetry Community Meeting, which isn't recorded, but it only happens at the KubeCons. It was either that or in the TAG Observability Meeting during Q&A when we give an update. At the time, there was like, hey, what about query languages? And, if you look at the history of Open Telemetry, you had Open Tracing and Open Census, 2 separate projects, and a bunch of other contributors that coalesced into Open Telemetry. And they very clearly defined the boundaries of what it's about. It's about the collection and handling of metrics, but not about querying them, visualizing them, storing them, right? Really just about collecting them and routing them and doing stuff in them along the way. Because most of the people that contribute to Open Telemetry pragmatically work for observability vendors, right, who compete. So the lines there were drawn really crisply. And so when it comes to query languages, this is where vendors differentiate. And so sort of to satisfy the need to understand more facts and more of what the ecosystem was doing and what people were using and what was important and what wasn't, while not sort of blurring the lines of Open Telemetry, or in the CNCF and in TAG Observability, we have to be very careful. I don't find it hard, but it's a vendor neutral setting. So there's no kingmakers, there's no chosen company or something like this. What we did, and Chris and Vijay have driven this for over a year now, is what if we were to make a vendor neutral query language as a thought experiment? What would that look like? Like the body and the group that comes up with a new language. And that's not saying that is going to happen, to your point about a prototype, I don't know. But what they would need is to be informed by, well, what are all the different observability query languages in use today? And from a languages perspective, I'm an old compiler geek. I like languages, many others do. So from a languages perspective, what are aspects of languages that work? Like, for example, well, I don't want to go into, I don't want to take too much time, but what would that look like? So they've done a ton of interviews. They've done a lot of catalog. They've had a lot of presentations from various experts in languages and some of the companies that have their own languages and what some of the features are. And so that working group is really to amass sort of like a catalog and a data set that is, what are people using today, and not trying to tackle let's make them all consolidate. Maybe it doesn't make sense to do that. Maybe it does. I don't know. But the points of this working group are to have the community come together, and they have to let us know, like as engineers, like what exists, right? And then at a later time, maybe here, maybe not, maybe somewhere else, I don't know. But that's the intent of that working group. I'm probably not being complete, but I'm trying to give some history. So as to whether or not they're going to build prototypes and demonstrators, Chris Larson and Vijay Samuel are the right people to follow up with. Chris is at Netflix, Vijay is at eBay. They both have a lot of experience with this topic. So
I'll definitely check out the working group and see what they're doing.
But I definitely at the keynote wouldn't say, let's have one language to read them all. You know, unless you want to see some fireworks.
Yeah.
But no, really. I'm just seeing this. I haven't seen what you're sharing here.
Oh yeah. This is just a draft of.
That's great. Yeah. And thank you so much for raising your hand and saying, "Hey, let's talk about this."
Yeah, I really want to get as an outsider coming from the outside now, trying to push my way a little bit into to what you're doing, at least in the same space. I really want to make sure I sort of talk to the community of what is actually going on, what would be relevant to discuss, and also what is relevant, for me personally and with my background. So it's just not me standing up there just talking about stuff I don't know anything about. So it, of course, also needs to correlate in that sense. So I think there's some interesting stuff around like bridging that platform engineering space, developer experience with the observability space, and trying to highlight that we are building on these open standards, and there's some cool demo stuff potential in maybe also including the eBPF profiling stuff to some extent if it's easy to get up and running and in a usable state. I'm not sure what state it is in, but some cool demos. I think that's also what we hear when we get feedback for KubeCon keynotes, is that really people want to see demos as much as possible.
I've not done a keynote at KubeCon. I've seen a lot of them though. I always kind of like when people pre-record a demo and then talk through versus like, okay, thousands of people watch me type, like,
yeah.
so that, and you'll be time bounded there. I also put a link to, we mentioned it a few times. Ted Young came a few weeks ago to talk about the future of open telemetry and observability. And it's a very short set of slides just about sort of like some of the things we've been talking about. But then there was an interesting discussion after. Henrik was there too. I think there's some good ideas in there too that might just maybe not specific things to say, but like directions you might explore as you prepare your keynote. And I would also encourage you to reach out to both Austin and Ted and others in the Open Telemetry project for details. And we can offline, I can send you a couple more contacts as well. I really think it's huge. So some folks from Microsoft, I believe, and a couple others just worked on semantic conventions, like what should the labels be for generative AI, as well as some other things. So that's fairly recent as well. Just last month, I think they blogged about it.
Interesting.
I can send you links for all of this when I'm not.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
But they might, the people driving that might also be good to look at. I think AI has captured a lot of attention, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are talking about it. So I think that's
I think we also included two other observability focused keynotes. Christine Yen, I think she's called, from Honeycomb. She's talking about observing LLMs or instrumenting LLMs. I think that was one of them. And then
then she might already be covering that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I probably need to, I don't think AI, I think the other observability talk is also about AI and doing some predictions
well, then
and
maybe
stuff
it's
like that.
overdone.
Yeah, so I think for this one, if we could not have AI in it, it would probably be good. Just to but yeah, AI is definitely also a hot topic at the moment. But I really want to showcase the easiness and ease of use of getting these telemetry signals to whatever implementation you have running to query your data in. And I think there's some potential for Perseus as well to combine that. I think I see that as a maybe an upcoming standard as well going forward. That people will be or vendors will be implementing solutions that would basically allow you to create the dashboards in Perseus and YAML and somehow map it to whatever sort of look and feel they have in that solution.
Absolutely. I think that should be a gold standard, right? Like if I'm going to try out a new project on a kind cluster or on some cluster I have, if there are dashboards, that's all the more reason, you don't want to have to reverse engineer all of that per customer. I think given and Henrik has been doing videos about this for quite some time now. He's and doing not only that but interviews at KubeCon. Unfortunately, I couldn't be interviewed at the time. I was working for someone who said no. But a huge amount of work in the community has gone into making all of this telemetry data available. And we're not even talking about at that much, how we collect data anymore within the tag. It's all this other stuff that comes later. So I think it's great. You're gonna talk about this at KubeCon. It's the right time for. I think there's like 7 million or something like that at the last survey. People who call themselves cloud native developers. So there's a huge audience for what is now, not only usable but tip of the spear, if you will, from a technical perspective. So this is really cool.
Totally agree. Thank you so much for giving me time on this meeting. It was super helpful, and look very much forward to get some context as well to follow up and refine the draft, and hopefully it's going to be an interesting keynote.
Yeah. But that Persis dashboard, I haven't looked at it specifically. I bet they have them, but Grafana had these annotations that you could have. You could programmatically make annotations so that when you look at a graph of whatever, you've got these vertical lines that correspond points in time with some detail. One thing, and this was years ago, I found super useful. I'm sure you're probably already doing it, but deployment events, the ICD events.
Oh yes, we were also using that, and yeah. Okay. That was one of the best features we had internally at Luna as well, and our dashboards most used by developers was really saying, hey, okay, I see a spike now. Was there something changing just moments before? Oh yes, there was. So it might be the reason why.
Oh, that's where I put the bug. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Persis have something for that.
Yeah, I have it on my list in a week or two to kind of dive in deeply now that we're past holidays and everything.
Persis is mainly the as code visualizations, but that I'm looking at their CRD. They have a preview on their operator with a few CRDs to configure it, because I think the code pure code perspective could be a break because it's a specific language, and if you're not into that language, then it's so I think if the CRD is successful, it will be great, because I think it will increase the adoption for sure.
Yeah, whenever I hear something as code, I kind of always have two parts of my brain that both fire up. One's like, oh, this is so great. We can use source control. It's more descriptive. It's more expressive. But then the other side is like, well, now we're getting away from the declarative thing, right? Now I know that when this thing ran, this code ran. What does that code do? Versus like, what's in this pod, right? So like, I'm kind of I'll have to look at those CRDs. Thanks for the suggestion. I'm a fan of the CRD approach myself, as long as there's not embedded code in it, which I have seen. Yeah. Cool. I don't have anything else agenda-wise.
Last meeting, we had some stuff to finalize before KubeCon. There was some issue, and so last week we suggested we would do like a working sessions every week, and so I connected. I think I was not the only one, but nobody connects. So I don't know where is the state. So there was a Word document. I thought it was really driven to the work that the tag has achieved over the last years. So I think the doc were already pre-populated quite a lot.
I'm a little behind on this. Which
on the
issue?
last, let me check. What was the issue?
Yeah, let me share really quick. So we talked about the rubric. This is from last.
The state of the ecosystem.
State of the ecosystem.
And then there was a Google Doc that Lolita shared. Where was it? You had it somewhere.
Yeah,
State of the ecosystem. I have the doc. If you want, I can share it.
yeah, please.
Yep.
Oh wait, here we go. I got it.
You got it?
It was-
Okay.
Yeah, we made a new issue for him. I need to join this. I'll have a look at this as well. Oh wow, okay, this is much more filled out than when I looked at it the first time.
Yeah. But yeah, just to figure out if we plan to do some. I thought we were going to work a bit on this, but
Yes, I dropped the ball. We can. Is there a what was it called? The thing where you can pick the times you want to help people find a time to make a meeting.
a doodle.
A doodle. Is there an open source version of Doodle yet? Or is Doodle still it?
I don't know. There's the free chair from Doodle. That's the only thing I know.
All right, well then let's send out a Doodle or something to see.
Okay.
So put it to the email list. If you want to drive it and organize it, cool. Otherwise, I will, and I will write it down this time. I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
I wish this weren't true and I'm admitting it on a recording, but I generally write things down and then I can remember them. Cool. All right. Did you want to talk about that document now today, or did
No, I think it was more to just to schedule because we have a deadline. So just make sure that we all if we contribute that we are plan the actual updates, and if we need insights from other people, that we organize meetings to reach the goal.
Yeah, Lolita usually has a deck too. I'll reach out to her as well and ask if she's already started one. If not, I know she did the maintainer track talks. Tags get a slot in the maintainer tracks usually, so I think it's in preparation for that.
Okay.
It's a good call out. Thank you. That's all I had for today. Almost at time actually. We filled out 48 minutes. 40 minutes. So is there anything else? We could check if people are.
I'm good on my end.
I think that's everybody. Was there anything else? Oh,
No,
okay.
yeah.
Yep, I had a little glitch. Cool. Then we'll see you all in a couple weeks.
All right.
Cool.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.